Hey everybody, it's Bust with Battles with Bust number 172. And today we're going to be doing battle with Scouts. And so Scouts, everyone at the channel knows I love Scouts. This has been my favorite deck throughout the history of the game. And I'm looking to start bringing it into the Gauntlet in the next video. And so I'm wanting to kind of circle back, get our feet wet with Scouts again, and see how we're going to adapt the deck and take it into the current meta. And so there's a couple of big defining points to the Scouts decks. I think they have, like three big questions that tie into all of them. Question number one is, are you going to be playing Inspiring Light? I think all of the Scouts deck should be playing Inspiring Light right now. It's way too easy to just get a completely full board and then not be able to add anything else to the board, and I think the Inspired Light is a go. The next question is, are we playing the Tentacle package? So are we going to play the Eye of Nagakaboros? Are we going to play the Riptide Sermon? And while I do concede I think the Riptide Sermon is the way to go. I feel like it's going to be getting nerfed, and in this next few days of videos, I'm looking to stay away from cards and decks that are likely to get nerfed in the upcoming patch, and so we're kind of fresh and ready for the new cards to come at us, or I should say the nerfed and edited cards to come at us. And not look to play things that I think are highly likely to get nerfed. And so I think Misfortune may. I mean, she's survived a long time up to this point. She may or may not get nerfed. I don't know. But I think that Riptide Sermon most definitely is. And so I don't want to play Riptide Sermon here today. Last but not least, you have some flexibility in your 6-drops. It's either Genevieve or Cytherea. I have switched back into the camp right now of wanting to play Cytherea. I feel like Genevieve gives you a lot of aggressive punch. She lets you hit hard right away in one time. But Cytherea gives us the tools that we need to attack through these wide boards that Nora develops and things like Ezreal Kennen develop, as to where they just have a bunch of dudes on the board. They're not actually trying to win the game with them. They're just trying to prevent damage. And if you don't have rallies, overwhelms, or elusives to get through them, then you just can't deal damage to the opponent. And so Cytherea helps you in that scenario, to where she's able to give all of your other units fearsome and then provide some avenues of attack to punch through those wide boards. And so those are the kind of big topics. The other point of contention and thing that we'll be bringing to the forefront today is the addition of Stony Suppressor. And so this is a card, I think it's starting to be shaping up to be a fantastic meta for the Suppressor, at least in the Masters meta right now, because it gives you a lot of advantages against a lot of the popular decks. This isn't a card that you get to play and just outright win the game, right? There's no deck in the format right now, even things like Ezreal Kennen, don't get just completely shut down by the Stony Suppressor, but you can really throw a big wrench in their plans if you deploy it at the proper time. And so as we see a lot of Shadow Isles based decks running Hate Spikes and Vile Feasts and even the Nightfall 1 damage ping, if you're able to slow them down just a little bit, then it gives you more opportunities to build up the big boards, which then snowball into having more damages with the Inspired Light and our other unit boosting cards. And it really just helps put a damper on their game plan. And so we aren't looking at the Suppressor as a way to just outright win games. It's just to buy us a little bit of time so we can get a couple more units onto the board and then get some exponential advantage when we play something like For Demacia. Speaking of For Demacia, that's the kind of last piece of the puzzle here. We are playing the Vanguard Sergeants in our list today. I feel like it's a bit of a necessity nowadays. If you're looking to really take your opponent down from 18 to 0, you need to be able to attack twice. And if you just have a bunch of 2 and 3 power units on the board, it's really tough to get that final late game slam in. But if we have access to Cytherea, or if we have access to the Vanguard Sergeant to do the 4 Demacias, much easier to hit for 20 plus damage if we have a 4 Demacia boosting 4 or 5 or 6 units. And so this is what we'll be doing battle with today. I'm excited. I hope you're excited too. You all know the pay to win price is paid on this one. And so let's go ahead and jump on in. Whew, it's been a while, man. I missed having Scouts as something to play every day. You go out and you start making content, and people don't want to watch you play Scouts 7 days a week. I don't know why, but that's the way people are, I guess. I don't know, man. But okay, up against Red Gwen or Gwen Noxus, whatever you want to call it. No need to hang on to the suppressors here. They're okay. It's a reasonable blocking unit or something, but we would rather have Petricite Broadwings or Challenger units, something a little bit more effective in the early game. This is kind of interesting if you're on the evens, then you can drop this Shell Shocker on the first turn and then play a Stony Suppressor on the second turn to try and dodge things like Vile Feast. Not going to go for that here. We're going to go for the width, get the Mirai Warden down, but it's interesting. Interesting plays do come about on occasion, and so you gotta look at them and stuff. All right, are we just going to open here? There's not a lot of scary things in the 3-drop space coming out of this deck. We could probably safely add the Broadwing, but I'm not like amped about just coming in and trading it with the Phantom Butler, so I'm just going to bring an open. This also stops things from like Vile Feast 2-for-1ing us, and then we can come in the next round and have more attackers. I shouldn't say the Vile Feast doesn't 2-for-1 us. It's if we play the Broadwing and then he Vile Feasts a unit and then he gets a shutdown with the Feast hanging out, it's not super ideal, and so we should be able to outgrow the Spiderling before the next combat with it.
If only she could see me.
The ocean charts our course.
Nothing to fear.
Okay, let's go ahead and prevent this damage. It's not super ideal, but I don't want to risk just taking tons and tons and tons and tons of damage here. Now, the way I'm going to look to sequence this is we need to get the Inspired Light on the board. I was going to just do the Broadwing into the Light into the Suppressor, but we did just pick up a fresh unit, so we have a little bit more opportunity here. I'm curious if he just immediately drops the Midnight Raid. It would have been nice to make that cost 1 mana, but
I shall need my tools.
he's being a bit of a lame-o over here. Bit of a lame-o.
I will not squander the great gift I've been given.
So we do have to start worrying about dumb shit from this deck now. If they play the Harrowing, we probably lose after taking a hit like that from Gwen, but we at least have some opportunities for decent attacks here. I don't think the Suppressor interrupts too much. He's not going to be playing like a Black Spear or anything, but at least gets a bit of a shutdown in that turn. Alright, so we couldn't force any damages onto Gwen. Kind of is what it is. Let's see if we can survive this next turn. If he just has like a Gwen and dudes, we should be fine. But if he's able to drop the Harrowing, then we'll just be dead.
What a joy.
Golden Aegis was a nice addition, though. Alright, I'm taking it. He shouldn't be able to outrace us here. We could put Barrier onto a dude. And then we have a lot of mana to be able to just swing in here. Hang on. I feel like we're not going to be able to get cute with a scout attack. It's too easy for him to play a... sure. It's too easy for him to play like a rally of his own. So let's see, right? If he plays a Midnight Revener, dude, whatever that guy's called. Oh man, this has just been a complete shutdown. But right, if he had the opportunity to attack, we would just lose the game. I think we're going to be a little bit short here, though. Quinn was a nice addition. Much better than adding Cythria here.
Always forward.
just takes it. Interesting. Suppressor can't block, okay.
This is our way.
Surprised he's blocking. We're kind of dead on board to what he has there. But now we have 2 blocks for his big things. I guess we can't stop the hallowed damage, but he's at a spot to where he definitely just wants to be wider than us. Maybe he'll do something weird. This game should definitely be done. You can't fuck this game up enough to get out of stopping a win there. All right, GG. That's a tough matchup though. If you want to think of how you want your games to sequence with scouts, right? You want to get a challenger attack and then have your unit not die, or you want to get attack with 2 or 3 units and then have your units not die, and then in that process, you're ideally able to take down a unit or 2 from your opponents, and then you get that big game-clearing turn at the end of the game. But it's tough with the interactivity package from the Gwen decks to actually build up those boards. And then Gwen's just tough on her own, right? It's going to take, like, successfully connecting with 2 units to be able to take Gwen down is fairly tough to pull off. All right, though. Up against Annie Jen, we're definitely leading out with units. So we are most certainly the control deck in this match, and we're just going to do everything we can to not take damage. And so if he leads off with a dude, we'll happily trade. Then we're going to just try and build up boards to where if he attacks, we get to block and have our units not die. Durandi Sculptor's fantastic here. All right, block. I'm ready to party. She got for his dude Heim. Okay. I assume he never wants to block here, but if he does and has to like Ravenous Flock the Sculptor, that sounds horrible. And so no complaints with an attack there. Now I think we're good. We're ready to start popping off. Gotta think really hard right now. Which 1-drop do I put on the board? I assume he probably doesn't have 1-drops at this point, right? If he was passing with mana on the previous turn, but this is arguably the most straightforward deck in the game, and so take plenty of time. All right, all looking pretty good. Boom, perfect draws. Old FTP Busta's allowed to draw perfect every once in a while. All right, GG. I get bamboozled by people playing Annie Jen these days. Like, maybe it's fine, right? It's not like there's any deck in the meta that's just like such a super high rate that you can't really play it, but it's one of those decks that gets murdered by both pirates and scouts, and it should be good against some of the control decks of the format, but seems like it would be ultra frustrating to play. All right, though, we're up against the old Gangplank Sejuani deck. So what do, fam? What's our plan against this? It's called just don't take damage. Now, we're about to get murdered. We just took a horrifically bad mulligan. Coming back into double Golden Aegis and then drawing a Cythria. This game is probably borderline unwinnable. We still want to bring this big strategy, though, of mulligan for just the cheapest plays we can find, and then keep our opponent from leveling up these dumb champions. Like, every card in this deck is pure trash, they are playing a bunch of just absolute garbage and bad cards. It's all about the build up to Sejuani and Gangplank. And so if you can cut those out of the game, then you have opportunity to get yourself pretty far ahead. The thing that worries me now is just getting blown up by a getting blown up by a Make It Rain. And so I'm gonna go ahead and try and take some advantage with our 1 health unit before we just sit around and have a board of like 3 or 4 1-healthers. So right, if he makes it rain now, it's not awesome, but it's not like he's getting 2-for-1s on the board. Sure. Definitely want to get the tentacle off the board. It's powerful enough to grow in this match, and so that can go. We're not going to get a value attack with the Fleet Feather Tracker, so we'll just go ahead and prevent the damage here as well. But again, looking pretty bad. He's up to 3. Should be flipping in no time. Just way too painful hitting all of these late game cards. Boy. I can't wait to see you get nerfed. Oh man. All right. Man, we probably are stuck just dropping an Inspired Light on this board. It at least lets us hook in the Apprentice and get a value hit, and then he can't kill our Sergeant with his Tentacle. But these Tentacles are a very key unit to take down in this match. Like, if you're just killing all these rando shitty plays, the Tentacle can grow to 5/5, 7/7 or something to where it's actually a real legitimate threat. And so you get the opportunity to take it down when the board is wide like that, like on the previous turn where he had a bunch of shitty 2/2s and the Tentacle. Very important to take it down. Right, let's see if we get blasted by something awesome like Sejuani here. Gangplank? Okay. He's only got 1 mana, so there is a realistic chance that he can't get a flip this turn. But wouldn't be surprised to see a flip. Then we're just dead, right? Can't take a 2 damage AoE to this board. What do we gotta follow up with? Some Golden Aegisuses? He had something. It sounds like a parlay. Okay. Now, don't get me wrong. That's not a particularly good matchup. But you're never winning that match when you draw double Golden Aegis, Cythria, Inspired Light. That's just way out of the realm of success. Never winning that one. But the strategy is still good. Right? What good cards did they play? Now, I guess I have to slow that down to a degree, right? Riptide Sermon is arguably one of the best cards in the game right now, but all the other cards in that deck are pure garbage. It's just a build up to those champions, and if you can hold out with making that champion wait 2 or 3 turns to flip, it just gives you so much advantage because their cards again are pure garbage. So I don't know if that's really fair, right? I don't know if you're allowed to just sit around and call someone's cards garbage as you're losing the game, but you know, I don't think it's that far from the truth. I'm surprised that deck hasn't taken more of a like a Plunder Pandemonium kind of shell. Those cards are actually good. So here, I'm going to lead in with the Sculptor. We should be getting a good attack this turn, right? And then I want to be able to grow our Broadwings and Trackers and the like. But this is the kind of classic matchup, right? To where this is where we finally learned and realized If you want to win some of these games, you have to either go around, go over top or through. And so you either need rallies, overwhelms, or elusives. And the Sundisk deck is the kind of epitome of that thing, as to where they just sit around and say, oh, cool, I'm going to fuck around until turn 8 or turn 9. And then eventually they'll try and drop the champions and win the game. But for them, it's just a matter of not dying until that turn rolls around.
Slight adjustment. Hello, new best friend.
All right, well, he does not have the mana for quicksands, right? He's only got the 1 mana at this point. You can get the full clear on his board. This does let him start doing stuff like getting these 5/5s down, but this is definitely not a board to where we can just pass. We have to get some shit going on here. We have to start punching in the damage. And so I'm fine to start losing out on some of these smaller units, but that's definitely not a turn to where you can just sit around and wait. Yep. Wonder if he's going to have the second one.
A little reinforcement at the seams.
Bringing it in. You getting that juicy hook. Okay. It does let us like open and then try and kill the Restored Devout. So I'm curious if he has a second right of damage, but it's so weird. Like if you had it, why wouldn't you play it earlier? Okay. Quinn number 2. I just don't think we have time for this. I mean, we can get all of our cards down, but what does getting us a 7 like health Quinn do? She still kills all these units on the board.
Waters, protect our prosperity.
Bird incoming. The idea here is we're going to add the bird. We're going to use the bird to then hook kill the Restored Devout. We should still be able to attack with our Quinn after this, since she'll have enough power to tango with the Soothsayer. And then I think his play here would want to be like Zerath, right? And so I'm not super worried about what he's bringing. Okay. A little bit more painful. It's only got 2 cards, though. I don't think we can, like, get our Quinn involved in this now.
Steady hands.
It's just going to be the smaller plays.
A slight adjustment.
We'll leave our Quinn and our bird back. If we have to try and flip our Quinn next turn, it's kind of okay.
Needs a finishing touch.
I assume he's going to put his Devout in front of the Sculptor. Get some block out here and then just take 3. Yeah. Looks pretty reasonable to me. Okay. So he shouldn't be able to get any landmarks down, right? Well, he can play landmarks, but he's going to have trouble, like, actually blowing them up. All right, not bad. Now, the new question is, well, it's misfortune, do we want to just, like, hook in the Restored Devout? Like, here's what I'm leaning towards, because we're going to attack next and then just get a fresh Quinn. And so let's at least trade out the units on board. since attacking with Quinn doesn't really offer us that much. This will take care of his big play. And right, we get to attack with Quinn. Ooh. Ooh, that's spicy, isn't it? He gets to take the Xerath shots now if we summon up the Quinn bird. But this hits the weakest unit, right? So I think the bird will come into the board and then still hook something. Is that right? So it pulls Xerath off to the side and then it gets hooked. He gets 2 blocks after this. Can't kill Quinn. He has to take it from Zap. I mean, it should be 7 damage, unless he has a Quicksand, right? If we're hitting with the Warden, the Mentor, and the Suppressor. Okay.
No one escapes my aim. It's our shine.
Trying to figure this all out while I got a dumb cat digging his claws into my legs. Doesn't make it any more challenging, let me tell you. Oh, he gets to move his Xerath? What the fuck kind of play is this? Okay. Well, that was not a part of the plan. What the fuck is this? I mean, I guess it makes sense without having the bird out there, but... Huh. It seems like he was already... It hooked him into combat, but then he was able to move it away.
You are not welcome.
Huh. Okay. Alrighty then. Oh my god, come on, cat. He's got fucking little razors for claws. You're gonna have to get him some of those kitty caps or whatever they're called that you put on the cat claws. See how he enjoys that. Alright, well, let's see if he's got the Azir. Now, if he has the Azir, then we're probably boned. I was hoping we'd get to take him down to 1. Wasn't quite the case.
Fortune favors the bold.
Interesting. So Xerath will come back into board, and then he'll hit the Stony Suppressor, which isn't enough to kill it. That's pretty cool if you ask me. Oh my god. Come on, cat. I swear I love this guy. He's just fucking dumb. I don't know. How else are you gonna put it? He was not blessed with intelligence, you know. Everybody in the world doesn't get to go to Harvard. This guy, he was not getting into Kitty Harvard. The way I describe this cat, though, I talk a lot of trash about him, rightfully so. But everybody's got that friend, right? You have that friend to where you go to the party and everybody gets drunk and then they think it's funny to like just start hitting people in the balls or stuff like that. You know, just doing like degenerate juvenile stuff when you're a fucking grown-ass adult. And it's like you start to ask yourself the questions like, why do I hang out with this obnoxious prick? You know, he just gets super drunk and then eats all my food and pisses on the floor and hits me in the balls and stuff. And then that one day you'll be out and about and you'll have a flat tire and you don't have the tools to get it fixed with you, and you start like texting all your friends and then nobody fucking answers, and then you get like 10 friends down the list and it's that guy. It's that guy that just hits everybody in the balls at the party and gets too drunk and everything. And you get to him and he's like, fuck yeah, I'll be there in 30 seconds, dude. I'm right out the door, you know? And you're like, oh, well, I guess he does have some redeeming qualities. He's not that bad of a guy, I guess. He just gets obnoxious when he's drunk. That's kind of how this one is. He's not drunk right now. He's just kind of fucking dumb, but he's got a lot of redeeming qualities. He wouldn't rope his opponent when they get wrecked at the end of the game. He would never pull that off. Well, we at least learned something in this one. The obscure plays of the day. Go ahead and mark this a W. Good job, Bust. You won that game. Let's wait a little bit longer. There it is. Boom. Alright, you're now clean, kitty. I've picked up your excess hair. This is the same one that threw up in the previous video. Not distracting whatsoever. Okay, Fiora Freylord. I wonder what happens with Fiora with the upcoming and imminent rotations of the format. If she gets to survive, if she gets pushed away, if she ever gets buffed back up to 3 health. Who knows? Do you all remember how fun it was to have Fiora running around in the format and being relevant? It wasn't. I don't think it was probably fun. I don't know. I didn't play Constructed then. She was of course in Expedition and causing some problems there, but she was never like super overpowered. I thought she was actually kind of interesting as a concept in Expedition, given that you play Magic or whatever, you draft and you're done. That's the end of it. There's no editing or build up or changes to your deck. But if you take a champion like Fiora, she is going to be the cornerstone of your deck. Everything that your deck does is going to be centered on having Fiora win. That was typically drafting a bunch of prismatic barriers and riposts. But if you're playing a 30-card deck and you only have one copy of Fiora, you have to kind of like figure it out. You have to, get some kind of plays happening to where you get to take advantage of the rest of your deck if you don't draw the Fiora. And really, I mean, and so what that would kind of lead to was if you get to say the 3-win stage, and then you have the 3 copies of Fiora in your deck, that should be like the pinnacle of challenge. And you should just like steamroll the rest of the event. But if you only you have to get there, and it's like that didn't exist in any of the other drafting style games because your deck never changed. It's kind of sad that aspect's gone. All right, let's see if we get hit with Judgment. I'm just going for it. Bring it. Emote it. See if it's the Judgment. How much is this? Can we leave any of this out? That's 9 exactly, but if he has some kind of combat trick, then he can survive it. Alright. Let's see if it's the Judgment. Please be the Judgment. Uh-oh. It's a slow spell, or a fast spell. It's out there in the middle. Do you think it's gonna be? Lame-o, dude. He's just presenting the reasons that we attacked with everything. He didn't bring the cool answer. In the Judgment. Alright. Fine, dude. I guess we should have hooked Fiora with the Broadwing if that's the way that was gonna play out. Probably just dead now. That's okay. Still got a pretty juicy hook on the Bakai Reaper out here. Okay. I would suspect at this stage we're dead. That was, I guess, a little greedy in the previous attack, because you get the thing with the Broadwing attack there is it cancels all of their removal, right? You not only get to like, what are you gonna do, frostbite it? You can't frostbite the Broadwing. He has to start boosting up his health, and so it looks like he would have been able to probably get out of that. He could have switched to just using the Shield of Durandi instead of using the Troll Chant there. But we might have been able to hit the lethal if that was going to keep him away from... if it was going to keep him away from casting all of his spells. And probably just dead here. Concerted Strike will do it. We'll see. Yep. I'm not going to let him watch the animation. Fuck that. Next battle. Take it away from you. Okay, Poppy Tarek. What do we got? Reasonable enough start here. We got the good dudes, but none of the raw power. It'll be okay. And here I will try to trade away. If he plays a Broadwing or a bird of his own, I'll offer up a trade. The Poppy Tarek deck is a lot more susceptible to having their stuff interacted with than ours is, right? If he says, like, plays a bird on the turn 1 and then tries to play Esmuth on turn 2, not only is that Esmuth vulnerable to all of our challenges, that bird isn't going to get strong unless the Esmuth gets to attack with it. And so I'm happy enough to come in and just try and shut them down wherever we can. Right, we're going to have plenty of dudes to add to the board, but Poppy Tarek can have some problems. All right, it's coming with everybody. This sounds like a sharp sight. That's okay. If he has a Ranger's Resolve, that's okay as well. We're getting him to he's not being able to develop his game plan, and we're still developing our game plan properly. All right, so Misfortune's going to go down. That's okay. We need to get... we don't have any units big enough to stop Poppy. We can at least block her with an Island Navigator. All right, let's get these Scout Bros going. We'll get the Island Navigator down. It's not going to play anything that's going to stop us from attacking with any of our scouts. So it's like, even if he plays Tarek here, all of the scouts are coming into battle. What you got? Pot of Pain? Makes sense. But he probably can't block with Poppy, right? We'll just hook her with the bird after the fact. Oh, he's bringing it all. That's okay. So he can't play any more cards here. He has to sharp sight his Poppy from the Fleet Feather Tracker attack. Sure. A little better than Sharp Sight, but the same deal. And the Broadwing. I'm a little worried. It's like I want to pass, but if we just pass, there's a non-zero chance that he just like sends it back and gets to really develop more. What if we play the Inspired Light? That lets all of our units kill Poppy. And then we can still follow up with the Sergeant and the Sculptor. Okay, we're better now. We just have to let this attack go. We're going to lose a bunch of units to these birds. But Poppy will fall. We can follow up with 2 more dudes. And then he should struggle. And, oh boy. Oh, this other Broadwing doesn't have a hook, though. Okay.
Every work demands a piece of ourselves.
So the question we'll have is, are we going to go for the Cythria kill, or are we going to go for the Ford Demacia? And I'm leaning towards the Cythria, right? These Broadwings aren't going to be able to block this way. And then should just need a ton more cards to stop this attack. Now, if he has a Concerted Strike, that's going to be a problem. Golden Aegis is fine. Right, Concerted Strike taking down our Cythria would be a game ender. Oh, they can't block. LOL. All right, GG. You're ideally setting yourselves up in these spots to where Cythria is on the board and then you open attack, but we didn't have the mana for those kind of shenanigans. All right, up against darkness. I'll be real with you. And so yesterday I was putting together some preview stuff. I was trying to find a nice deck to play for today, and I was like, man, I haven't played with Nora in quite a while. Maybe we should try and assemble a Nora deck for all the viewers out there. And someone has figured out Nora Vagar, which I assume is in large part to the same concepts we talk about with all the aggro decks we play, is you have to be able to overwhelm elusive or go around, right? When we were playing Nasus, you got to see, well, we're going to, potentially attack around a bit, but ideally we'll be able to, say, go over the top with a do we go ahead and drop the suppressor now? I think we do. Atrocity. And it seems like the Vagar Nora decks were running into all the Nora mirror matches, and we're like, oh man, I need a way to get around or overwhelm or elusive through this. And they're like, oh, Vagar, right? Vagar is the Shadow Isle's way to just send a bunch of damage to the face. You just get all the darknesses going, and then they can't stop it. I thought that was interesting, if that was how that came about. I'm not entirely certain if that's the way they did it, but it makes sense to me. But I played that deck and absolutely hated it, and so it was like, nothing about this game is fun right now, so I'm not going to do this anymore. Why do we keep hitting fucking Xion Moons? Oh my god, I don't want these. I do not want to pay 3 mana to get a 1/1 back. This game's fucking dumb. This game is dumb. To cast it, not darkness. Quicken. Sure. So this is not good. We've taken way too long to do anything relevant in this game. That is in large part that we did spend a lot of mana developing Vastayan Disciples, but this is certainly problematic. We can't answer the Vagar because we don't have any challengers. We can't really attack with all of our units because they're just fucking small and worthless, and so the suppressor was nice. This would have been a good game for it if we had real units on the board. It's just been a real disaster picking up these Shimon wins. This is the Quinn he's already seen. He's going to try and Darkness Quinn. We'll get out of it with Ranger's Resolve. But next turn we're going to need to be casting spells, which is a little awkward. A little awkward with old Suppressor on the board. I mean, I guess realistically, we could just let Quinn die, and then next turn play the Inspired Light, and then hit the additional Quinn Bird, right? We need this additional Quinn Bird to come in and take down Vagar. Maybe that's the way to go about it. Then we'd have 2 birds on the board. He goes with Vengeance. Interesting. Then he'll get the upgraded Darkness next turn. Sure. How much do we even care about Quinn? I don't think it's a ton. Now we can switch to just killing with these elusives, right? We got the Zap and the Xion wins. Fucking dumb game. Guys, I'm gonna pause the video. I'm gonna head down to the gas station. I'm gonna purchase some lottery tickets. If all we're gonna do today is random into Shimon wins, then I definitely need the lottery ticket in hand, ready to go. Oh, that's delightful.
Let's do this.
All right, there is a bit of argument to attacking with this disciple just to get rid of it. Right, we're in such a bad spot with these inspired lights and 4 Demacias, but I think there is a realistic chance that we can punch in for 8 damage coming from the elusives, and so I think it's okay to leave him on the board. It's just like the remainder of those few points of damage we're just taking way too long to get to.
The hour approaches.
But this game would, again, like be flowing much smoother if we had just literal anything on the board. If we had 1/1 Poros on the board that weren't going to return to our hand, and we were able to get in a couple more points of chip damage and then be kind of excited about boosting them with our inspired lights, then that would be kind of nice. But we have this hand that doesn't do anything. we have a handful of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 spells, and we're about to drop a Stony Suppressor on the board just to make those spells a little bit more challenging to cast.
Here comes Piltover's fine.
Okay. Okay. Well, I guess the Suppressor doesn't do anything about that. Oh, it does. You can technically play another Suppressor and have that cost go up 1. But about to get fucked.
Let's give this a shot.
All right, game. I don't know how we're supposed to draw out of this one, but I believe we can do it. That's not it. Okay. Okay. All right. RN Jesus was not with us on that one.
Not broken.
All right. Final battle time, though. Let's get on in. Let's get in here. Let's do it. Let's slam it. I believe in us. Victory is imminent against Action Pantheon. Pantheon was historically a really terrible matchup for scouts. It shouldn't be as bad now because it's a lot more challenging just to build up the giant Pantheon. But this is where my kind of first season of Runeterra brought me, was trying to play a lot of scouts in the Pantheon era. And it was tough, right? What tends to happen is you just build up this really wide board of 6 units. The highest health you have is like 3 or 4, and then they just go, LOL. Look at this. I got this giant dude. He's just gonna overwhelm for 15 twice. It's tough to win. It was tough. Doesn't seem like what's happening to us here in this game, but you know.
Anyone seen any sheep around here?
All right, played these in the wrong order. We should have played the Broadwing first, but it's okay. We're never blocking action. And then we do have the mana next turn to add the Suppressor to the board and then follow up with the Inspired Light, since we do get the 1 mana out of it. So let's bring it in. It says, oh fuck. Bust, you got me good. Pretty sure that's what he said. I'm pretty confident. So how bad can this go? I think at the end of the day, the card he would be looking to play is like Quicksand. I don't think Quicksand exists in this deck, but the card that would be kind of readily apparent and obvious would be something that gives +1 health, like Shape Stone. So I do want to send our 4-power bro into action. Then we're going to take his 3-power bro with our challenger. Assume he's going to take down another 3-power unit, that's fine. Then hit with the remaining big boys. So we don't get to survive any of these, right? We could look to hook the action with the tracker and then the Bakai with the Broadwing. That leaves the Broadwing back at the end. I just don't feel like it's the times where that goes right, and we still have that 1 health Bakai on the board, do not make up for the times where it goes wrong and the action gets to live because he had a single combat trick. Look at this, dude's gonna flip.
Portal and suddenly dropped me in nothing.
Fixing the world one scoundrel at a time.
It's a scary action you got there.
Dream of.
You had to pay the mana for that. It sucked, didn't it, bro? You had to spend the mana on your predict card. Getting worked over. Oh boy. Second action? That's scary.
This is justice.
Alright, we need to draw something cool. Something good, game. That wasn't it. That was not the card we were looking for. That was not the one we needed.
Scouting ahead.
Hug it out.
I don't think we're going to be able to do enough here. Our units are just too small. This is the problem you run into against the Viego decks, right? They get their Camaveran soldiers going and get to punch in for a bunch.
This is my time.
Ugh, just it just sucks so much. Get a combat trick too? Yeah. Okay, GG. And so, not a bad set of games. Ultimately, not super successful, but I feel like it was a very worthwhile endeavor to kind of chase down the Stony Suppressors. We did play with them in the Lulu Poppy deck, where they tended to function a little bit better. But here, I was not particularly happy with how the Suppressors went. And the other kind of angle I was looking to go with this deck is to go with the Vanguard Bannerman route. And so you have your only Bilgewater cards are going to be Misfortune and then the Mirai Warden. And then you cut out Zap and you cut out the Shell Shockers, cut out the Island Navigators, and look to play Vanguard Bannerman as a way to make these kind of utility units like the Durandi Sculptor and the Stony Suppressor better. Since they get the bonus stats more frequently, you can give them the bonus stats with the Bannerman in there. But I think that the Suppressor works in the Poppy deck for that very reason, right? You're able to upgrade the Suppressor and make it into a more reasonable and enticing unit. With this deck here, we just don't have as many ways to make it good and strong, and so it didn't feel very good. And so I think that's probably the way to look at these Suppressors, and the way to kind of look at these decks is if you're looking to play in the Gauntlet in this upcoming weekend, by all means, play Riptide Sermons. This deck loves it. I was playing most of these games just going, I really wish I had something stronger. like Riptide Sermon. That's like I am trying to avoid it because I do think it's going to get nerfed, but it certainly has a place here. I certainly think the improvised version of this deck we were playing previously, you should be able to go back to our last week of Gauntlet and see it, to where we're playing the improvise equipment dude and Zap and the one cost improvise, or the one cost I mean to say attune. We're playing the 3 attune units and then the tentacle of cards, and that's our big kind of punch. But here, like we're missing out on those bonus stats you would get from Poppy, and I just don't think the suppressors really work. And so, by all means, play your Riptide Laboratories. If you want to test out Vanguard Bannerman, go for it. I'm not the hugest fan of it. That's something we used to do in decks like this. I think that Scouts is, to me, the way I kind of look at Scouts right now is I love the deck, I really do. But I think if you're playing a Misfortune Riptide Sermon deck, you should just be playing Pirates. And I don't think that the Stony Suppressor was really enough to push us over the edge. It was like okay against Darkness, but it's not good enough against enough of the decks to really warrant it, right? We aren't playing tons of Ezreal Cannons and the like where it helps you succeed. And then Ezreal Cannon isn't even a bad matchup to begin with. And so, I think it was a fun adventure. It was a nice reminder that the suppressor is just not that good here. I'm glad we got it out of our way and give you a little bit of knowledge before your upcoming games in the Gauntlet. And so, fun set of games. I had fun with it. I hope you had fun with it too. And that is going to do it for us today. And so, I hope everyone enjoyed the video. I hope your knowledge has not been suppressed. Hope you maybe learned a thing or two along the way and had a good time watching. This is Bust, and we thank you for being here.